in high school and between being in bands and stuff, like the only other time I'd had experience with doing like solo stuff was like I would make when I was in high school. I would make like these records on like this little 4-track I had, or on GarageBand, and there's probably like 6 of them somewhere. I don't have any of them anymore, but some like girls basically. But I would make like, so there's every few months there's like a new 12 songs or something like
Oh
that.
yeah. Now you got to get those back
I know.
because
I'd be interested to hear them because I want to
yeah.
harvest. Well, it's like a different person. You're like, oh man.
So you got to get that
Well,
stuff
it's
and
the biggest thing with that kind of stuff is like it's really when you're growing up and learning how to write songs. When you listen to recordings from that time, you can hear your influences more than you ever will hear them as you kind of develop. Like you can
right,
hear exactly what you were listening to because you
right.
try to become. You're still trying to find your voice. So you're like, for me, I was like, Elliott Smith is like, Elliott Smith and,
Right,
just
right.
like bummer songwriter dudes like that, like that's what I was after at that age.
We talked about like you being in your dad's car with a cassette player and hearing like Hank Williams and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
And that stuff, I don't think you can ever get rid of that stuff. I think that's where it
yeah.
really kind of forms who you are.
Seriously, I mean, that's still,
I mean, I still listen to like Partridge Family,
yeah, yeah.
on cassette in the car with my parents driving to Massachusetts. And I'm a pop guy, man. I
Yeah.
always have been. I'm like, I just love like,
Dude, me too. I mean, like that, well, because that was the only other music. It was like the pop radio
yeah,
shit. It was, so whatever was like big when I was a kid, like 90s, late 90s, like pop, it's a lot of like pop punk and shit like that. Or like, that stuff is like so ingrained in me. I love like pop music. You can't get rid of it. It is so nostalgic to like listen. It is totally informs, I think, your songwriting forever. It's so like to be that malleable or whatever at that age. Yeah, it's
yeah,
really, if you want to build like a very specific songwriter, you have to be, and you're a parent songwriter, you would have to like be very cautious about what you play someone at that kind of young age, because it does stick with you forever, I think.
So by the time you got done with the band, Driftwood Singers,
Yeah.
you pretty much had your style together. So it was just an easy transition to say, like, here I am.
I mean,
Um,
ish, kind of like, I, I, it wasn't that easy of a transition. I knew like vaguely like what I was listening to at the time. I had immediately after that, I like called my buddy and was like, I have to make an EP because the last Driftwood tour, this girl bailed and was like, I'm not doing this last tour. It was already booked. So I was like, all right, I'll do it solo. So I like immediately went in and made an EP with my buddy of just like a few songs that I'd written that, and I was like, man, how am I gonna? I listened to a lot of John Prine, so I was like, I'll try and pick it like a John Prine song or something like that. That's like a slightly different than Driftwood, what kind of Driftwood sounded like. And then just playing like every day, going on the road, playing like 200 dates a year or whatever, will like just turn you into like whatever you are, or, I was like, everything is like, I had the freedom also to be like, if I wanted to like write a pop song and like record it with like a drum loops and shit like that, I could be like, yeah, let's do it. I don't, there's no boundaries, I was like, I have to move, like to be on the road all the time. I really like, there's nothing, I don't feel, it drives me crazy to just be in one place, and I can't. So I mean, I figured, I was like, well, I can like live, I can live day to day. Like, you make enough to like you can eat, and if you get, it's just one dude. So like I drive a sedan. It's easy to pay for gas.
mhm.
When you play, and like if I can afford to eat every day. I know plenty of people I crash with, like, all over from just touring and stuff like that. So it's like, I couldn't do this and live, and, like, physically keep myself alive.
Yeah, expand. I
I
mean,
mean, unless I do, like, something, like, terrible, like if I, like,
yeah,
eat a
dangle a baby from a
child or
balcony.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was, both we were both thinking things with children. And
Well, actually, that'll get you more followers. I mean,
if I
anything you do.
eat a baby. Yeah.
Well, that's what people do now. I think they do horrible things and then they get famous. Just fess up to it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I told I've worked with the booking agent that used to book Driftwood singers came on immediately and was like,
Okay.
I'll keep booking you. And I just told him, like, as soon as I quit this band, I was like, now we can go out all the time. Like, literally, please never send me home. Let's just
Okay.
always be on tour. And
I
he's
love
like,
that.
all right. And so then I was just
Never-ending
always
tour.
out. Yeah,
You and Bob.
basically. Yeah. That is my life now, is just the never-ending tour. Only not.
Just open for Bob, man. You're good enough.
That'd
I
be
would.
so intimidating. I had, like, friends that did, like 20 dates
Yeah.
with opening for Bob. And
Not allowed to look at him.
well, no, they said that they didn't see him. They just talked
Yeah.
about like how crazy it was. They said they didn't see him until the end, and that he came into the dressing room and made like some kind of. The band was called the Dough Rollers, and he came in to the dressing room at the end and was like, I'm probably butchering this story, but like that came in and he's like kind of mumbling. And he's like, yeah, keep on rolling. And the guys were like, man, that's so lame. Like, he's making reference to his own song, like a Rolling
man.
Stone. And then they thought about it a few days later. He's like, oh, no, he was talking about the Dough Rollers. He was, like, talking about us.
Just,
Yeah. But they were like, they took it totally as, like, no, man, what a dick. Like, just, like, self-referential. And yeah. No, wouldn't that be nice to go
yeah.
on the Bob Dylan tour? I don't know what I would do. Like, I'm so used to, like, eating fruit in my car before a show that, like, if I had a nice, like, dressing room somewhere,
Eat fruit in your car
I would
before the
still
show.
sit in a sedan in a parking lot of the Staples Center and eat an entire bag of Granny Smith apples or something. Habits like that, I couldn't imagine. When something like that, like such a monumental, like and quick change, I don't know how you would, because like usually change happens. I mean, it's always happening, but like you can't see it, because when you look at yourself in the mirror every day, and then like 5 years go by, you're like, oh, I feel the same because I've seen myself every day, and the progression. But like when you blow up or something overnight, it's like, whoa, who am I? What is this? Everything changes like that. I would imagine that, like, struggling to hang on to the old habits or something
Yeah. Yeah.
to maintain some kind of
Well, you mentioned Elliott Smith, didn't
Yeah.
he? Didn't he kind of from?
He did like the
movie
Oscars or
something?
yeah, it was the
He
Oscars.
kind of like overnight was
And then-
thrust into the
Yeah.
spotlight.
Well, and talk about a weird person for that to happen to. Obviously, like, I don't know that. I know about him or whatever, but like
Right.
to talk about like a his weird indie rock dude at
Yeah.
a time where like indie rock wasn't,
Right.
now like indie rock is like mainstream,
Right.
which is really funny. But to be thrust into, like, to be on the Oscars, like,
Yeah.
could you imagine? That's insane. Yeah, I would imagine that will drive you insane and turn you into like a really unhealthy person.
Yeah.
If you're, depending on the type of person you are. Bruce Springsteen, I feel like he could just handle it. He's just like the beacon of hope for like the world. He has really strong shoulders or something.
Yeah. Well, we talked a lot about Bruce last night.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, we
so
burst
fun to
through a
say.
lot of Bruce.
We're talking the Bruce,
Yeah.
and because it's relevant, man. And like I said
Yeah.
last night, a couple of the songs towards the end of your set, I could hear Bruce doing them. The adult now Bruce doing them,
Yeah.
in his style, and really like they're the point being that they're good enough songs they could stand right
Thank
next
you.
to is probably as good as what he's doing. It's
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm a big Bruce Springsteen fan.
yeah.
To say that, I mean, that's like an understatement.
Understatement.
Yeah.
But not everyone is, I guess. You kind of.
My dad hates Bruce Springsteen. It's so funny. Like, he hates him with a passion. My dad went to see Bruce Springsteen when I was in high school. he got tickets with his girlfriend and went to go see Bruce Springsteen. It's like, and he's like, I hated the show and I hate it. And I was like, are you kidding? This is at the peak of like my Bruce fandom too. And I was like, I didn't even know, like, how I hate you. Yeah.
I remember I was sitting right there when I heard Clarence died.
Oh man.
And I remember that night, man. It was weird. It was like the end of a chapter, you know?
Seriously, like,
It just seemed like, wow, the end of like such an era, man.
big man.
And it was just like the bond that they had, and just an era, and just time in general, and mortality, and how everything has a
That's a weird
window. You
I
know?
didn't realize that he was sick, I guess. And so like that was a surprise, I feel like, to me, because like I think like all of those dudes, for the most part, in my opinion at least, they look super like young, and like healthy. Or like ish for like a rock and roll band, like
Yeah, yeah.
there are certainly dudes that have played, that look way more haggard than
Oh my
those
God.
guys. So like
Yeah.
to hear,
Like 19-year-old guys.
yeah, exactly, yeah. Me like 2 years ago was more haggard than any of them. I was like, yeah.
Yeah. So this CD is the first one.
Yeah, that's the first full length.
The hell with it.
Yeah.
And you did a few songs from here last night.
Yeah.
I think, Plain Song, which
Plain Song.
Um,
I did that one twice. That Plain Song
the
twice.
one guy we should give a shout out to.
Yeah,
what's his
Joel.
name?
Joel. Yeah.
From the Triumph in New Hope. Nice guy and
Super nice
a
guy.
supporter of yours. He was like
Yeah.
him and
his wife.
We were your fan club last night.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, last night was amazing, man, because you played the.
Yeah, I play like
describe what happened.
fucking Jenga or something, like full, like
this-
wood block. There's a game happening in front of the stage.
I mean, literally in front of the stage. It was it was like performance art, man. I thought
Yeah.
I stumbled into.
It was really important game that was happening.
And pretty classic, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. Yeah, there was these big towers of blocks, and they were playing some game. It was like a Jenga or something, but with huge blocks. So like, I'd be in the middle of like a really tender,
a real tender song, man.
And then like these blocks would fall, and it sounded like a fucking train hitting a wall, and it was like the loudest thing. And the funny thing is, the dude there, he came up and turned me down, and that was the first time it happened. Was right after he turned me down. Yeah, that is a place where it's like, if I was a band, if I was like a 3-piece band or something, it would be a little bit more manageable, or like make more sense, because like it's, there's more happening, and like people can dance, and so it's like funny to be. And there's a lot of rooms that I go to that are not like that really, but like where like it is better for a band, or like they have bands usually. So to just be one guy showing up, it's already, you're like, okay, this is a little bit okay. When's the other guys show up?
With the internet and Facebook and everything.
That's why it's hard to like to do music, I feel like, now than it ever has been, because everyone's so, it's already, even if you do something cool, like it's already over.
But it's but once you get to know it, it's all tied in. But
I mean, and it's like the song, I like to do them solo live, because I mean, it's fun to do band stuff every now and again, because it's fun to hear how I heard them, when I wrote them, or like how I wanted them to sound officially, or whatever. But I like the bare bones, like doing it completely by myself, because I love, you get to see how like strong a song is. So I like that. I like that vibe. But when we're in the studio, I'm like, fuck it, dude. Yeah, let's put an Ebo on that, or like, I'll play lap steel on that, or stuff that it's really difficult to.
Tell me about the K. It's
a 1938 K television is the model.
Oh, amazing, man.
Yeah, and there's not very many of them. I mean, it's a magic guitar. There's no truss rod or anything like that. It's just like there's no other guitar that I feel that connected to. Like, it's a very specific sound. it's just a monster. It's also like the biggest guitar I've ever seen in my life. Like the bottom bow here is like 18 inches across. There's this strap that this guy made for me in Jackson, Tennessee.
It's got an amazing sound, this thing.
Like I feel connected to it in that way, where it's like we have seen like 120,000 miles in the last 2 years together, and like played I think like uh you know 350 shows or something so far, and it's just like super reliable. I've never had any issues with it. It's been the same the same thing every time.
Authentic sound. I mean, it's a really great sound that you have. A little bit of slapback, kind
Yeah.
of, just just the right amount of sort of clean crunch, and
Yeah, I mean it's a really fun, and I told myself, because I was stuck in like acoustic world forever, where it's like I didn't even, with Driftwood singers, like we didn't even have any pickups in our instruments. We're like, no, we're gonna mic everything. We're gonna make them mic it, you know. And so this was a response almost to that. It's like, fuck that. I was like, I'm doing like, so compromise. It's like an arch top, I guess. So, but I was like, I'm playing like electric, even solo.
oh, cool.
Yeah. I was like, fuck acoustic music. I'm done. I'm out.
Right,
Gotta
right.
get out. Which is a funny like response to my own fucking music. Be like, no, it's over. Typically when I'm not in like a sports bar or something, like it's super intimate usually and quiet, and people, it's nice to have just people like listen and people that care. I mean, and that's the goal. Like you want people to, that half of why you write, I feel like subconsciously, is to be like, man, is there like another person that feels like this, or are you, to try and feel like you're not alone, or like like your experiences aren't completely singular and unique to you, because they're not. They're not. It would be naive to be like, yeah, no, I'm just like I'm totally different than everyone else. Not yeah.
Yeah, right.
It goes against like everything that you're like when growing up in like the 90s, that you're taught like, no, you're so different and special, and
Like, man, you got to check out this album. This guy, man, his songs. I
I
can't relate to him at all.
Yeah.
It's like there's like nothing on there I can relate
there's
to.
nothing,
at all.
man. That's gonna be the new cool, man. Is like.
Like, so unrelatable, man.
Is unrelatable. It's got to be. There's some like person who's a total contrarian out there is like trying to do that, make that happen. Like
Maybe
be the most unrelatable songwriter.
like Jan Deck or something.
Yeah. That's next. The next record that I make, I'm gonna be like, this is all. It's gonna be abstract. It's gonna be just noises I make with my mouth that aren't words. That would be like the social experiment. I don't think I'm at a level where I can experiment with people socially, or like.
Yoshimi from the Boredoms just came through, and their stuff's like, it's different. It's coming from a different place.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, I see stuff like that. I mean, one of my good friends is like and who's actually done a few of these music videos, is this guy who lives in New York, Chris Carlone, but his band is called Borts My Norts, and it's like the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. Borderline performance art, like
Right.
operatic nonsense basically, but it's like amazing. He gets in a unitard and wears a wig and dances around, and like it's like incredible. That's like the and maybe an example of like something that like it's not relatable, but it's like you love it. Like it's hard to. I don't know how I'd relate. You would have to hear it, you should check it out. But like it's hard to relate, but like that's something that could be successful, being like something that's like, well, yeah, that guy's like a total alien, man. He's a cool guy. He directed a video for a song called 1, 2, 3,
Yeah, that's the one that's got two main actors.
Yeah,
in
that
it.
actually he's the main actor dude.
Is there a
Yeah.
storyline in that? Because it's like there's a
There's
female character and a male character.
I think the story is that they're just like cute and in love and stuff, which I guess is that song. I mean they're just running around in the wintertime in Manhattan and
So awesome, man. Your videos are like
yeah.
just great.
Thanks,
It's
man.
it's like that really.
I wish I could take credit for like any of them. It's like all I had was like the songs, and then people stepped in and were just like amazing.
Are you on a label, and do they sort of help you with that, or is like some kind of game plan to?
There's a label that put out my first record and that's putting out this record. They're in Durham, North Carolina. They're called Trailer Fire Records. But yeah, they just are putting out these two, and then I mean we'd had the idea to put it out kind of in this weird way with the singles and stuff every month, because it forces when you can on iTunes or Bandcamp or whatever, you can download each individual song of like any artist ever. It makes it so that I feel like no one buys a record really anymore and listens to it from cover to cover. But this is like a long way of forcing people to do it. If they listen to this single every month, then like by the end of the year, there's different directors for almost everyone. Chris Carlone, that guy I just talked about, he directed actually a couple of them. But then there's been like super talented. He shot a bunch of them, and then there's been super talented like editors and like just a lot of. Abby Lynn is like an amazing director that does like huge like big budget stuff. That directed the Ghost to Coast one,
Yeah.
and there's just been a bunch of, we shot one in Hot Springs, Arkansas, that comes out in a couple months, and shot a bunch in L.A. and shot one at Fort Worth, Texas, and one at Nashville, and I think there's two more left to shoot. It's just been fun to do it this way. Like, and I had no video presence like whatsoever before this, so
Well, you're a natural, man. You got
it's fun. I mean, dude, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an actor. I was like,
yeah, it comes right to you. You can tell. You make those like the angry face.
Yeah.
It's great stuff, man.
Yeah, someone came up to me at like a show in Austin, or I think it was in Austin, and was like talking about, because I guess in a few of the videos when I'm like singing or whatever, they're like, yeah, man, that thing you do, like your weird, like fucked up underbite thing, that thing's awesome. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I was like, and then I watched a few and I was like, no, I have a weird tick, like a weird singing thing that I do that's like super bizarre, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah, and that's like punk rock, man. It gets a little of the
good.
the punk rock anger out there.
Yeah, I'm like,
you gotta have some edge,
arguably, I'm like it's punk rock with like, if punk rock is spine turned to dust or something like that, spineless punk rock. It's apathy, maybe.
And how many have you done altogether? And
so by the end of it, there'll be 12. So one for each month of this year. And so we've shot, I think, 10 videos. There's 2 left.
that's really ambitious. And
Yeah.
do they help with the budget? And is it sort of like partially budgeted and partially a barter?
A lot of them have had like 0 budget and have been super, guerrilla, like just go out. I'm in town for 12 hours, we'll shoot for 2, and like maybe there will be enough for a video.
So the directors and filmmakers want to get their stuff out in the world and make a name for
Yeah,
themselves.
a lot of it's just been like, hey, like I can't, I don't have any money, but like I will literally, you do whatever you want, whatever. I won't fight you on anything. Like I will back you up 100%.
Okay.
With whatever your idea is.
Right.
Right. So that it can be, because it's a lot of like young, filmmakers or people that, maybe even haven't done anything yet, or people that need stuff or like they're real or.
So there's
you
always
know.
a chance that you'll watch it back and be like,
Yeah, I mean, there's luckily that hasn't happened,
Right.
but like there is always a chance of like when it gets toward the middle of the month or whatever, and I'm about to see whatever the footage is. I'm like, oh man, like I trust everyone that I've worked with, because they're all friends, so I like them all as people and like respect them as artists. So, but there's always like a little bit of like, oh man, what if this doesn't work? Like,
Yeah.
then it's like I stand behind it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like all of them have been great. Like I have not like seriously, they're all. I love.
Was Playing Dead one of the first ones? Or?
Playing Dead was that was the second one we did, and literally we shot it. The guy who produced my first record and produced this new record, we're both like film geeks. His name's David Mayfield,
Okay.
and he immediately it was mid-month. I had no idea what I was gonna do for the video. And I was like, oh man, dude, like, I don't know. Like, I don't have anyone to do it at such short notice. And we took his iPhone and I was like, all right. I woke up and I was like, hey, let's go rent a dog costume today. And I was like, I'm going to rent a dog costume. It's like 10 degrees in Nashville. It was so cold. And I was like, I'm going to rent a dog costume. Let's just like, you have a really good eye. Like, just film me. Going around, we'll just film a bunch of shit, and then we send it to that guy Chris Carlone, all the footage, and we're like, can you just like make this? But yeah, the guy David Mayfield, super awesome. Like you should check him out as well. He's one of my favorite, like hands down my favorite live performer, and great songwriter. I've written a bunch of songs with him, and of hands down favorite producer I've done now, because I just made another new record on top of this one that's coming out with him as well. So I've now done a total of 4 records with him, and like can't work with anyone else.
What's his name again?
David Mayfield. His
David
band
Mayfield.
is called the David Mayfield Parade. Super talented, super funny. So yeah, that one was super spontaneous. Some of them have been very like, all right, let's do it. This has just been coming out via Bandcamp so far, and then it'll be on vinyl in January, all as one thing. But on Bandcamp, there's every lyrics to every single one of the songs that's come out so far. It's funny with most of them, as I was like uploading them onto Bandcamp, I was like, this is the first time I've written this down anywhere.
Right.
So,
That
because
is
a lot
funny.
of times I don't physically write anything down, or I'll keep it in my head for a really long time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a sign of someone writing good stuff, because it's not just improvised into a tape recorder and then that sounds good. That's a song. It's more thought out over the long term.
Yeah.
Carrying these songs around in your head.
Well, because they change. Like when you keep them
Forming
in your
them.
head, you remember like really good lines. But like if you will remember if it's a good song, if it's a good line. So it's like almost like a good way to. It's like editing without having to edit. You'll just forget the bad ones, But the good ones they will stay there. So it's a good way to, or it seems to work so far.
Day Trotter, I guess. Is that?
Yeah, Day Trotter does. They don't do
kinda
the interview part though. They just you just show up and do your thing.
You Owe Me Nothing.
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
one of the songs.
That's a new one.
Yeah?
That's a funny one. Yeah, you should know you owe me nothing. That's a
Be Here
brand new-
Tomorrow.
Be Here Tomorrow. That's a song that's about that. So that Ghost to Coast video is shot at this music venue in LA called the Echo Country Outpost. That song is written for all those people that are in that video. Actually, I name a bunch of them.
That's a new song?
That's a new song. That's a song I wrote like a year and a half ago or something that I just have never put on anything. It's not on this record, but it'll be on my next one.
Gonna be hanging in the area or traveling?
I'm gonna go. My dad lives in Cincinnati. I'm gonna go hang out with him for a couple days, and then go to Indiana, see my grandmother, and then go go to Kansas City maybe a day early. My aunt and uncle live in Kansas City, and might hang out with them for a minute before my show.
Wow, man, perspective, brother. That's like,
Yeah.
it's just, you have stuff to write about because every day,
Yeah.
you're experiencing these places. Like I say, just driving into small towns around here, like Freehold, where Bruce grew up.
I mean, yeah, you
just pick up all this history and stuff that
well, it's super. When you travel a lot, I think your emotional metabolism is like super duper high. So you like, I write a lot because when you travel so much, you experience things faster. Like a week's time on the road where you're like in a different city every day feels like 5 years or something, because you meet people every day, and every day is like its own like weird like life cycle kind of, all new experiences and new people and stuff like that all the time. So you have to, I feel like you have to write a lot if you're a creative person when you travel, because there's like not enough room.
Right.
You're at like emotional capacity all the time in your head.
You drive 50 miles somewhere and
Anything that's out of routine, really. Like if you do something that you did, that you wouldn't do every day, but you do different things every day, that will force anything out of you, I think. You just can't, like, no creative person has room, I think, for like anything, or for that much. You only have so much storage space in your head for like these things that you mull over. So you have to expel them fairly quickly. Make room for the new shit.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll probably be back in like in October.
That's nice.
But I'll hit you up when I come back through for sure, and we should do this again. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Yeah.
And if anybody's listening, you should also know that I slept here and woke up here at the podcast house, and so thank you for that as well.
You're welcome anytime. There you go.
Man.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
Awesome having you.
Thanks, man.